The marketplace of Velthar Station hummed with 1,000 voices, each belonging to a different species from across the galaxy. Ezra Chen navigated the crowded bazaar with practiced ease, his worn jacket marking him as just another human trader scraping by in the Outer Rim territories. He'd been hauling cargo for 3 years now, ever since Earth had opened its borders to the galactic community, and he'd learned to keep his head down and his business clean. That philosophy died the moment he heard the child scream. Ezra's head snapped toward the sound. Through the press of bodies, he spotted a small figure, barely waist-high with iridescent blue skin and 4 delicate arms, cornered against a vendor stall. 3 Kresh mercenaries loomed over the child, their blade arms extended, the serrated edges gleaming under the station's artificial lights. The Kresh were known throughout the galaxy as apex predators. Their exoskeletons could deflect most small arms fire, and their biological blade arms could slice through reinforced steel. They were feared, respected, and generally left alone. The child was Salvine, Ezra realized. He'd seen a few of their kind before. Peaceful herbivores whose entire civilization was built on philosophy and art. They had no weapons, no military, no concept of violence beyond the theoretical. Every rational neuron in Ezra's brain screamed at him to walk away. The Kresh would kill the child and disappear into the station's underbelly. Getting involved meant death. It meant throwing away his life for a species he barely knew, for a child that wasn't even human. Ezra ran toward them anyway. "Hey!" he shouted, shouldering through the crowd. "Leave the kid alone!" The largest Kresh turned, its compound eyes reflecting Ezra's image 100 times over. It clicked its mandibles in what might have been laughter. "Human, this is not your concern." "I'm making it my concern," Ezra said, positioning himself between the mercenaries and the child. He could feel the small Salvine trembling behind him, its 4 hands clutching at his jacket. The Kresh exchanged glances. Then, without warning, they struck. The first blade caught Ezra across the chest, tearing through fabric and flesh. He gasped, but didn't fall. The second blade pierced his shoulder. The third slashed across his thigh. Pain exploded through his nervous system, white-hot and all-consuming, but Ezra's body did what human bodies had done for millennia when pushed to the edge. It flooded with adrenaline and refused to quit. He took the 4th blade in his side, the 5th across his back, the 6th through his forearm as he raised it to protect his head. Each strike should have been fatal. Each strike should have dropped him. Ezra stayed standing. The crowd had backed away now, creating a circle around the violence. Ezra could hear voices shouting, feel the child's weight against his legs, but everything seemed distant, muffled. The 7th blade stabbed into his abdomen. The 8th sliced across his temple, sending blood streaming into his eyes, and then, miraculously, station security arrived. The Kresh fled into the shadows, and Ezra finally allowed himself to collapse. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was the child's large, luminous eyes staring down at him with something that looked like wonder. Ezra woke to soft lights and softer voices. His body felt like it had been run through a meat grinder and stitched back together, which wasn't far from the truth. He tried to move and immediately regretted it. "Easy, human," a melodious voice said. "Your species heals remarkably fast, but even you need time." Ezra's vision focused slowly. He was in a medical bay, that much was clear. But standing around his bed weren't doctors. They were warriors. 7 figures in ornate armor that seemed to shimmer between solid matter and starlight. Their faces were obscured by helmets, but he could feel the weight of their attention. "Who?" Ezra's voice came out as a croak. "Who are you?" The central figure stepped forward and removed their helmet. Beneath was a Salvine face, older than the child's, with markings that spoke of age and wisdom. "I am Grace Velshan, grandmother of houses, speaker for the Salvine people. The child you saved was my granddaughter." "Just did what anyone would do," Ezra mumbled. "No," Grace said softly. "You did what no one else would do, what no one else could do. The Kresh are death incarnate to most species. You stood before death itself for a child of another race, another world. You took 8 blades and did not fall until she was safe. The other warriors removed their helmets, revealing more Salvine faces. These were different from any Salvine Ezra had seen, harder, bearing scars both physical and otherwise. We Salvine are not warriors by nature, Grace continued. But every civilization, even ours, has those who choose to walk in darkness so others may live in light. These are the silent blades, our protectors, our guardians. They have served our people for 10,000 years, and in all that time, they have never once honored an outsider. Grace gestured, and the warriors moved in perfect synchronization, dropping to one knee around Ezra's bed. You bled for us, human. You were willing to die for us. By our oldest laws, you are now Salvine in spirit, if not in body. The silent blades acknowledge you as one of our own. Where you go, we go. Your enemies are our enemies. Your battles are our battles. Ezra stared at the kneeling warriors, his mind struggling to process what he was hearing. I don't understand. I just couldn't let them hurt a kid. Grace smiled, and in that smile was an ancient sadness and profound hope. Exactly. The galaxy told us that such instinct, such immediate selfless courage, was evolutionary foolishness. That humans were reckless, illogical, driven by emotion rather than reason. She placed a 4-fingered hand gently on his shoulder. They were wrong. What they call foolishness, we call nobility. What they call recklessness, we call heroism. One of the silent blades spoke, their voice surprisingly young. It was the child he'd saved, now wearing training armor. I am Vel-Ein. I will spend my life studying the human way of courage. When I am grown, I will stand beside Ezra Chen, as he stood beside me. Ezra felt something hot sting his eyes. He'd come to the stars looking for profit, for adventure, for something beyond Earth's crowded cities. He'd never expected to find this, a family forged not in blood but in choice. I don't deserve this, he whispered. Deserve. Grace's eyes sparkled with something that might have been amusement. Human, you took 8 blades for a stranger. You have already proven you deserve everything we could offer and more. Now rest, heal, and when you are ready, we will show you what it means to have the silent blades at your side. As consciousness faded again, Ezra realized the truth that would spread across the galaxy in the years to come. Humans were fragile, illogical, ridiculously emotional creatures. They made terrible decisions driven by impossible instincts. They threw themselves into danger for people they'd never met. And that, it turned out, was exactly what the universe needed. End.